Well, hey guys, how are you? Welcome to our first ever beginners cookie box cookie tutorial. I'm so excited that you grabbed your box and you're watching your tutorial to make your cupcake 4 different ways. So today we're going to go over lots of different techniques that you can do with this cute cutter. Our cutter is from Simply Renee Sweets, cute little cupcake cutter. Is the perfect size and great for any celebration that you want to use it for. And we are using 4 different colors with this, but we're going to learn some techniques. We're going to learn obviously outlining and flooding our cookie, but we're also going to learn some wet on wet techniques. We're going to learn how to stencil. We have a beautiful stencil here, also provided by Simply Renee Sweets, where we're going to stencil our happy birthday and our heart, which will be so, so pretty. And we're going to learn how to do details on our cookies and make some sprinkles, some homemade sprinkles ourselves. Oh my goodness, and it doesn't end there. We're also going to do this really cool technique here on our cupcake. I'm going to show you how to do that. So our colors today that we are using are, we have white, of course, we have mermaid teal, we have, pardon the sun, we have some pink, we have pink, these are all from Cookie Countess. This is Preppy Pink, and we have Positively Purple. Oh goodness, let's see. We're going to have to fix this light. My apologies. Okie doke. So we are going to get started and we're going to outline and flood our cookies. So I want you to grab your blank cookies. So hopefully you were able to get those baked and ready to go. So we're going to start off first with our 2 here, our pink and our mermaid tail. So, I was going to show you these. This is the mermaid tail. This should come in your box. And we have the Positively Purple and you have the Preppy Pink. So these 3 colors from Cookie Countess came in your box. These colors will last you a pretty good amount of time. So be excited for that because you're going to be able to use them a lot. And I love those colors. The Positively Purple, this purple here is my favorite color to use. Probably, I really do like their brown, but it might be my favorite Cookie Countess color. So, and then white, of course, your icing is already white. But if you don't, you can use their whipped white gel color, which I really like as well. So we have all of those colors in stock on my website at summersweetshop.com, and you can grab them there. So let's go ahead and get started on our cookie here. We're going to do our first one. Here we're going to do our teal cookie. And so I've got my icing here. I'm using 2 different consistencies today. So I have my outline and my flood consistency. This outline is a piping consistency. It's what I'm going to use to outline my cookies and also add details to my cookies. Your flood icing, think of it like maple syrup. So it's going to be able to fill your icing, all of those outlines that you have outlined on your cookie. You're going to fill them with your flood icing. So it's the same icing. All I did was thin it down a little bit with water. And yes, it is royal icing. So you're just going to take your icing in your bag. I like to hold it kind of right here in my hand like so. And also have my wet cleaning cloth here that I'm using. It's a wet reusable washcloth. It's fantastic. I also have those in my shop as well. And let's see, I had my scribe with the sprinkles, but I don't see it right now. So I'm using my other scribe with me. So we're going to make a line just straight across. If you have trouble with lines and you're like, it's going to be crooked, it's not going to be straight, use your scribe to kind of just draw a line, etch a line just straight across if you struggle with that, because I understand that. So you're just going to start out pulling up away from your cookie. That's the first thing that you want to do, is make sure you're pulling up away from your cookie. So you're going to touch down, you're going to pull up away from the cookie, and just follow that line, that outline there. So I'm going to touch down kind of there on the corner and then just bring my icing around and then come all the way back up like so. All right, so now that you did that, it's time to do our flood icing. So we're going to take our flood icing. Again, this is like maple syrup. So think of your outline like toothpaste. Your flood icing is like maple syrup. So you're going to take your icing and just go all the way around your cookie like so. And you're just going to fill it in the middle. So you want to make sure that you have enough icing that it covers, but you want to also have it thin enough so that it doesn't have any bumps. It just smooths out super nicely like that. Pardon me. Okay, so you're going to let that dry. I would like to let that dry for probably about 3 to 4 hours because you're going to do your stencil here on top. So make sure it is nice and dry before it's time to do your stencil. And we're doing the really pretty heart stencil here. If you can see the little heart stencil, we're going to do that right here over the top. And you're like, how are we going to do that, Summer? I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to do it. So I don't have a stencil genie or anything on it. We're going to do just this stencil, but I'm going to be super careful in holding my fingers in place. And I'm using a scraper. This is a scraper that also came in your box. This one is from the Cookie Countess, and it is wonderful. So, 2 different ways that you can do this. You can apply your icing, your piped icing, and we're using piping icing for this. You can apply it right here, or you can apply it right on to the stencil. I'm going to do that for the happy birthday. I'm going to apply it right on it. So this one, I'm going to apply up here on my stencil. So I'm just taking my piping icing, and I'm going to apply lots of good icing. You can always add more if you need it. But I'm just going to carefully hold it in place. And I've got my icing on my stencil. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to kind of do it one direction here. I want to make sure I get it fully covered. And then we're going to do this side here. It can be kind of tricky because you're covering a large area. And you're just going to smooth it out as best you can. And then you're going to gently lift it up. And looky there, you have your beautiful cookie. So we got a little spot here. So I'm just going to cover that like so. And you won't even be able to tell. So we're going to do the piping on for the top at the end because we've got to cut our bag open. So stay tuned for that. But let's move on to our next cupcake, and we are going to do our happy birthday. So we're going to set this one aside. We're going to come back to it. We're going to do our happy birthday cupcake. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to, so this one we have the scallops going up. One we have the scallops going down. This one has the scallops going up. So I'm just taking my pink icing. Remember, this is the preppy pink. And you're just going to make nice little humps all the way across. Now this one I wanted to make sure I go up high enough on this like cupcake liner, if you want to call it, because I've got to get that happy birthday. So make sure that you have lots of space for that. You don't want to have it too small. So you can even put your stencil over the top and make sure that it's going to fit. Okay, so next we're going to take our flood icing again. We got our flood icing, and we're going to fill it in all the way across. So you, of course, can mix and match all of these. This one, we've got our white on top. Our icing that's on top is going to be just outlined and flooded royal icing. And so I'm going to show you how we'll do part of that when we do our flood, so that it's only 2 steps that you have to worry about with this cookie. So now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to do just this middle section. So if you want, you can just sketch where you want your icing to go. Okay. So that just kind of gives you a guideline of where you want your icing to just fall. I like having that. It's like a visual for me when I'm going. Now, I added that squiggle because I don't want my icing to be, I don't want it to crater at all. I don't want it to sink in at all. I want it to be nice and puffy, and adding that extra layer in there will help it do that. All right, so now that you have it nice and puffy, you're gonna set it aside and let it dry. You wanna let it dry for, just like the other one, about 3 or 4 hours, because you're gonna stencil over the top of it. You could see, like when I did the heart here, that I was pressing down pretty hard on it. And so I wanna make sure that it is nice and dry, that if I push down on it, it's not gonna dent it in. So you've got your cookie. It's been drying, so now it's time. We're going to do our happy birthday. Make sure you do your happy birthday stencil before you do your white, so that it doesn't get on there. So, and hopefully this doesn't get on there. Normally I would wipe this off, but we have just the one stencil we're working with. So let me see here. I'm going to use my Stencil Genie to keep it in place, and I'm actually going to turn it this way, like so. So that Stencil Genie just keeps it in place, and it keeps my fingers off of having to touch the stencil. I can just hold the Stencil Genie and it's going to do its work. So you just place it in there. It has the magnetic hooks on there. Okay, and then we're going to use our same scraper. Just want to make sure you scrape it off. And then I'm going to apply my icing right here on top of the words happy birthday. So right on top of the stencil. Wanted to show you different ways that you can do this, and they both work great ways. You just have to figure out which way you like the best. So I'm going to hold my stencil in place, and I'm going to take my scraper, and I'm just going to gently scrape in one direction. I like to go in one direction. So see how you can't see the letters just yet? So now I'm going to take it and I'm going to scrape a little bit harder and just getting that excess off. That's all I'm doing. It's just getting that excess icing off. I don't want it to be super, super thick. Okay, so now you're going to gently lift up your cookie, your stencil, I'm sorry, it's your stencil. And there's your happy birthday. How cute is that? Someone's going to get that and think, oh my gosh, this came from a bakery, from a professional bakery. But you are a professional because you did this yourself. How cool is that? Now we're just going to fill in our white on the top, and then that top right above your cupcake wrapper. I'm going to add those squiggles in there because you got to have them to like make sure your icing doesn't crater, doesn't have any holes. We don't want any holes in our icing. No dents or craters. And then this one we're going to go just right over the top. And there you have it. So you can leave it just like this. You could add a little detail if you want to the top there. You could add like a little detail just to give it a little bit more detail. like that. And it just looks so pretty and well done, right? No one will ever believe you did it, but you did do it. How pretty is that? You're gonna let that dry for a few hours, and then it should be ready to go. All right, next up is our one with our polka dots. I love this one. So this one's got the scallops going the different way. So you're gonna do your lines, you're gonna do starting from one side, and we're just gonna go all the way down. And you're gonna fill it in, just outline that. I'm gonna go ahead and outline my white here on the top too. You could always mark it with a pen or an edible marker, but that's totally up to you. So this one is just going the waves just right straight across. Now you're gonna take your Positively Purple flood icing as well. So have that one on hand. And then you're gonna have your mermaid teal. Is it mermaid tail or mermaid teal? It is mermaid teal, like a mermaid tail. I love this color though, and you can get really pretty color just using a little bit of it, and it turns out so pretty. So you're just gonna outline this base here and make sure that you spread all your icing out before you add your polka dots. Okay, but make sure you have your Positively Purple. It's right here handy dandy. And you're going to add a polka dot. So you're just gonna do a dot and go straight up. You're gonna add a dot and go straight up, a dot and straight up. So however much you squeeze, that's how big your dot's gonna be. So if you want a little dot, you're gonna barely squeeze it all. If you want a bigger dot, you're gonna squeeze a little bit more. So this, we're just doing a pattern, just all the way across, whatever pattern you want. And you're gonna add as many dots, make them as big as you want, and so on and so forth. So once you have that done, you wanna add, you're gonna fill in your middle section here on your frosting of your cupcake. How cute are these? They're just so fun. Great for birthdays, occasions. A lot of people start decorating cookies because they make cookies for a birthday. And so that's why I wanted to do our first cookie box was for birthdays. Okay, next you're gonna let that dry. You don't have to let this one dry as long as the ones with the stencil, but I would let them dry for about an hour before you come back, and we're gonna add our details onto our cookie. So we're gonna outline our icing here again. On the top, you could even add like a little cherry on top if you wanted to and be a little festive. And notice that I don't outline where the icing is because I don't want to have like a line there. So I don't add, I flood right up to that other color. It just floods right over it, especially right here. If you were to outline this all three sections and flood all three sections, they would all just melt together. So doing them one section at a time, or the two that are not touching at a time, you're allowing it to dry and for the icing to crust over, and then you can add in your details or add in your other sections. So now I'm just going to do my lines straight down to add some details to my cookie, to my cupcake. It's so cute. I could just see this for a kid's birthday. They would be thrilled. Pop that in their lunchbox, and it will make their day. So there you have your second cupcake that is finished. So cute and adorable. I love it. It's so fun. Okay, so we're gonna set it to the side. Now we're gonna do our like masterpiece here with our really cool textured cupcake liner. So the first thing you're gonna do, just like you did with the other ones, is we're doing our cupcake liner first. And so I did our base here, and that's not even straight, but it doesn't even matter because we're going to do a really cool technique. So what you're going to do is then take your Positively Purple and you're going to just outline. You're going to outline it first and then you're going to fill it in. And you're going to have your preppy pink. You want to make sure you have your preppy pink flood icing to just right to the side here. We're going to use it in just a second. So get it ready. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and add our polka dots with our preppy pink. And so you're just going to add these just like you did with the other cupcake with the teal. We're going to add our polka dots. And now I forgot to grab my parchment paper, so hang on. 1 second. All right, so now you're going to take a piece of parchment paper and you're going to cut a rectangle. You want to make sure that it covers the size of your cupcake runner. So I'm going to do one like this, and then I'm going to take it. Remember how you used to make fans in school and you would do your paper and you would go different ways? Do you remember that? How you would, you're going to start off pretty small and you fold it backwards. And you're going to do this all the way across. So I'm just going back and forth and pressing it. And so I like to use parchment paper. I don't think I've seen it done with anything else. Parchment paper just works the best. So you're going to go all the way across, And so I'm just keeping it. Remember these little fans? And I'm not even sure where I saw this technique the first time, because I would totally give the credit to whoever did this because it's a really cool technique. Okay, so once you have it all the way done, all the way across, you're going to spread it out. I know I didn't go all the way across, but you're going to go all the way across. You can spread it out however much. So it kind of stays however you want it. If you want it to be thinner, you can do that, or tighter if you want it to be tighter, or it can be a little looser. So once you do that, you're going to take your parchment paper then, and you're going to lay it flat right on your cookie. Remember, we just laid it right on the icing, and you can see the icing touching that parchment paper. So then you're just going to tap it down, tap, 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 tap. And so let me pick this up so you can see. So you can see there the icing. So it's touching it. And so I'm just going to have it right there. Isn't that so cute? I mean, well, I say that. It's cute. You can't see anything yet, right? You can't see anything just yet. So once you have that done, you're going to let that dry. I like to let that dry overnight. Okay, and then you're going to come with this when you get done. And so you're going to then just carefully remove that parchment paper and just hope that it doesn't stick to your parchment paper. I have had that happen before, but usually it's not too bad. I actually had to redo my sample because that's when it happened. But there you have your cupcake. How cute is that? And then you could just shave these ends if you want them to be more. And then if you want to make homemade sprinkles, let me show you how you're going to do that. So you're going to take a piece of cellophane, or a cello bag, and you can just put it right down on a card. I just use these card backers. So I'm going to take my piping icing. Oh, this has white all over it. Okay. And you're just going to pipe lines straight across, just like this, with your piping icing. Okay, with each of the colors that you want to use. And this is how you're going to make homemade sprinkles. So you're going to do all of that. You're gonna let that dry. I like to let it dry in front of a fan for about an hour. I don't even think it takes an hour, probably about 30 minutes. But you're gonna let this dry for a little bit. And then you are gonna take your cellophane bag when it's done, and you're just going to crumple. So you hear them? You can hear them all. I like to kind of put my hand there so that, because if not, you've got sprinkles flying everywhere. So, and they just come right off of your cello bag, your cellophane bag. Okay, so they're just gonna come right off without much effort. And so I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them in this like little dish here. So have like a little dish if you can. And I'm going to rake them into here. It's good if you have, like if you do it on like a paper plate or something, then you can just do it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to finish off our last two cookies, the hearts, and we're going to do this piping, big piping going on here. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to take your piping bag that you have for your white, and you're going to cut a really big hole here on the end. So cut a really big hole off. I know, like you're like, oh my gosh, I just cut a lot off. Okay, and so now you're going to take your piping icing. It's in this bag here, and you're just going to squeeze and just make this nice, big, like whipped looking topping to your cupcake. Look at that. And then what you can do is take these homemade sprinkles that you just made, and we're gonna sprinkle them on top of our cupcake. And so you're just gonna sprinkle them in, and it's gonna be super cute. Again, so fun. Not a lot of technique needed and skill needed for these. You can totally make these, and they'll be so cute and yummy. Everyone will love them. So I kind of just make sure that none are like hanging off the end. And so you have it just like that. And then for the heart, how cute is that? I just love it. For the heart, I just did the same technique. And you're just squeezing and going back and forth. You can use a star tip if you have one, and that works great as well. I just wanted you to be able to see that you don't have to have a special tip to do it. You can use your piping bag and make a really, really cute heart cupcake. So there you have it. We've got our one with our texture. We've got, oops, it just grazed the side of it. I like to show you, always like to show you the ones that we have completed, so that it's not like, oh, well, that one didn't turn out like the sample did. No, it did. Look, sometimes, a lot of times, they turn out even better looking. And so there is our other sample. So we've got our happy birthday. We've got our one with our polka dots. We've got our heart stencil, and we've got our textured cupcake liner here. Looks like a cupcake liner. How fun is that? I hope you guys enjoyed this really cute beginner cookie box with our cupcake cookie. And I cannot wait to see your cupcakes and what they look like. So post them so I can see them. And I hope that you have fun and have so much joy in this little box. And I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks so much. And I'll see you next time.